Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming, everybody. And we were just having a sidebar conversation here. Was speaking to the executive director, Dr. Panzer, about what to expect upon completion of the program. And so he's preparing that. But I know one of the things that I had a request was a model letter, a letter that you would send out to schools. And what I usually do, they used to be, when I received them, they were PDFs. But things always evolve. I'm sending something to a church. I'm sending something to a homeless shelter. I'm sending something to a school. I put it in Word doc, and that way you can put your name there. You can change the date, make it specific to a person, and always keep a file. I've always do everything with USB. I don't put everything on the laptop or the computer, because if something happens, you've lost everything. So quite frankly, I put very little on my computer hard drive. I do an external hard drive, and I also have a USB that I can travel with if I need to pull some information. So I'll have files, and then I'll have like letters and documents, and then I'll have schools, and then within the school file, I'll put cities, Jersey City, whatever city it is, and then within that, the schools. And then I always have a permanent file of everything I did. I'll keep an Excel file, who I called, what their response was, what their position is, the contact information. Because sometimes you might be doing that city again in 3 years, and you think, oh, who was that person? They were so positive. So I keep records of everything. And then, of course, I have a paper file, things like that as well, filing cabinet. But it's good to keep good records so that you know what's happening. And timesheets, you want to keep track of your time, how much time you're spending doing different things, so you can review that. It's always good.
So is it going to be necessary for us to have some type of a business model, like an independent contractor type of arrangement, in case we do get donations? Or
I find that's best, and that's where Dr. Panzer's expertise will really come in, because he right away got a 501c3. You may not want to do something that big. I don't know. Independent contractor usually works good. They give you the money, then you're responsible for your taxes and things like that, and donations and whatever. You just have to keep track. So he could be very implemental with helping on that end, where to apply, how to apply. And you might do some research in your state as well, small business administration, something like that, because I've never had to do that aspect, so I don't know. I've done things on my side, but it's always related to our program.
right, because there will be expenses such as mileage, paying for gas, and then like photocopies, and I mean, just real basic type of expenses. So
I
it would
keep
be nice to write
receipts.
some of those off.
Yeah, I keep receipts on everything I do, whether it's personal or business. I keep a mileage record, which I just pick up at Staples, and I keep one for personal and doctors, and then I keep one that's strictly business. And then on the outside, I'll say 2020 to 21, and it'll just be briefly where I went. This was my mileage, start, finish, how many miles, and it was all business. And same with tolls. So any of those things. So tolls, I would, for a long time, I just paid cash, and that way I always had a receipt. So I have my own little filing book. This is what I do for my personal, but you probably, you can get a smaller one, but I put tabs here, like this is my personal. I do one on myself: auto, clothing, food, gifts, household. So you could do the same thing with yours, and I would do end of the month, every single month. I would do receipts if I was you. I would make my own expense report. So then it's not like, oh my gosh, I have this big mountain of receipts to give to my accountant. They're not real happy about that. And an Excel spreadsheet, just keeping an Excel spreadsheet of the individual ones. But I'm sure there's a lot of tools online, and Quicken Books, different things like that. So we'll get you all started on that. So we're going to start in on the presentation. And again, we're working off of part 3 So if you have your script, you can look at that, and it's called Maturing Your Love. So in part 2, we were talking about protecting your future, avoiding STDs, a lot of the physical consequences, bullying, drugs, things like this. So now we're more going to be about how to mature our love. And again, we talked about healthy relationships are just as much about what you don't do as what you do. Same like good health. It's just as much about what you don't do as what you do. So let's see here, slideshow. So we had talked about 5-star sexuality, and a lot of people focus, and of course there's the immediate attraction when you see somebody, but sometimes what I found often, maybe you're different, but a lot of times if I'm not attracted to somebody, even as a friend, I'm not attracted in the beginning, it ends up being a really great relationship. Whereas if I'm very attracted to somebody, I think, oh man, they're so wonderful, I tend to get disappointed with their character or something like that. So why just settle for a 1 or 2-dimensional relationship? They're very physically appealing, or emotionally they really make you feel good. That tends to be a trap for the female brain. When you can have all 5. So we discussed those. I usually will go back, like I'm going back 2 slides, and then I'll ask the students, look at your notes. What's the 5-star sexuality? And maybe they don't have it down. Who can tell me? And then if they don't, then I'll just briefly go back, just very briefly. I shouldn't spend more than 3 to 5 minutes on review, maybe not even that. So is love just feelings? A lot of people, they think about how somebody makes them feel. It's natural for all of us to want to find somebody to share our lives with, but there's a lot of confusion about what it means to love somebody. Is it just how somebody makes you feel or how they look? Or is it how they are as a person? What about their behavior? What about their track record? I hear a lot of young people, especially college students, they do table topics. They each bring a sheet of questions. There's even online, there's questions you can ask somebody you're trying to get to know. Sit and have some coffee, daylight, no expectations, not at somebody's house, and ask each other questions, have a conversation, see how open they are to those questions and things like that. I knew this one girl, it was kind of sad. She was 21, not a baby, and she always wanted to save herself for marriage. And then she met this really tall, dark, and handsome, wonderful guy, just knew how to talk to everybody. She was smitten, and he had recently had a breakup, and she says, "You're so perfect. How could she break up with you?" And he goes, "She had her reasons." Well, it turned out after 1 year with this guy, and she wasn't really with him, she's trying to be with him, he turned out to be physically and sexually abusive. She thought, oh, if I give my virginity up to him, he'll love me. And that's when the problems began. Really abusive, to where she almost thought she was going to get killed. So after she got through with that restraining orders and all kinds of things, it was so shocking for her. She went to the next town, just right the next town over, and she found the girl, and she says, "Why did you break up with him?" She says, "Because he broke my arm." And that was after I already had a restraining order on him. So the two of them then teamed up and talked to the last 6 girlfriends. The guy was only 21 years old. And already he had a criminal record. He had 3 restraining orders on him. So it's kind of interesting, because she felt she was very street savvy, college student, but her emotions played her out, like love was blind for her. So we talk about mature love and immature love. What's immature love? It's just like when I was a little girl, I remember like it was yesterday. I was probably 4 years old, and my mother said, "Do not eat the green apples on that tree. Do not eat them." That's all she said. And I said, "Well, bump that. I love green apples. I love pippin apples. I love them." So I waited till my mother wasn't looking. I ran under the tree, and it was a young tree. So I picked the apple, ran to the side of the house, It was immature. It was not a ripe apple. Oh, I can taste it to this day. So I really learned, but I took the garden hose, it was terrible. So I kind of learned the hard way. So immature love can have pretty bad consequences too. One sign is being self-centered. People like to say that money is the evil of the world. I think money is wonderful. I can do many good things for a lot of people with money, but my experience is that selfishness or self-centeredness is really the evil of this world. I'm just thinking about me and my feelings and what makes me happy. I really don't care what makes you happy. It's also conditional. It's like what you can do for me now is depends on how much I'm going to love you or be with you. It's on conditions that you make, that you fulfill, that interest me. Immature love is also changeable. I find especially with teenagers or with adults who've had many relationships, their feelings change all the time. That's why it's important. The first 3 months we're usually with somebody, there's a lot of brain chemistry going on, pheromones, hormones, testosterone, phenylethylamine. You feel high all the time. Your brain is high on drugs. You need to wait till those drugs dissipate. Because I have seniors in high school that say, Miss Linda, sometimes I'm thinking about that person day and night. I just can't get them out of my head. But once we kick it, once we have sex, it's one and done. I don't want to be with them anymore. And just think this other person is probably given their heart, and they really think this person, because they probably said, I love you, I'm crazy about you, and they are in the moment. But that's what happens. It changes. Teenage or immature love, because this can be adults as well, is like this. It's up and down, highs and lows. And if I'm not feeling you, I'm not feeling really high and happy and excited by you, well, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with the relationship. No, it's just how life is. You can't be constantly stimulated all the time. It's also resentful. Immature throws in your face something maybe you might have done a year ago. They just can't let it go. It's unethical. I like this story. So say this girl, she's in the 7th grade, and then she has a boyfriend, a novio, and she's speaking on the phone, and the mother sees the cell phone. She sees a picture. Says, Juanita, ¿qué pasa? Who is this man? Oh, he's not a man, mommy. He's my novio. He's my boyfriend. Honey, he's a man. He's like 19 or 20 years old. She says, no, it's okay, mommy. I love him. He loves me, and I'm going to go meet him at the park today. Oh, no, Juanita, you're not going anywhere. Girl, you're staying home and do your homework. Oh, mommy, I hate you. You're the devil. You don't understand. You have so many problems. Slams the door, and then she gets on the phone. She goes, oh, Juanito, oh, my mommy, she's muy loco. She's crazy. She's the devil. She won't let me see you anymore. She says, you're too old for me. Well, Juanito gets on the phone. He says, no problema. Yo quiero mucho. You tell your mommy you're going to be doing homework at Maria's house. I'll pick you up on the block. Okay, I love you. So then she says, mommy, I'm sorry. I'm going to go to Maria's house. She's having a problem with her homework. We're going to do homework. She said, okay, I love you so much. You have a nice night. And then, so she goes, and then he picks up your daughter on the block. She gets into his car. He puts his arm around your daughter, takes her to the park. I usually do this to the boys. This is your daughter. He takes her to the park. He puts his arm around her. Oh, I love you. And if you love me, you'd... Hey, how do you feel? And usually the boys say, I'm going to kill him. Well, always remember that every young lady is some other man's daughter. Every young lady is some other man's daughter. So unethical means you're not following the rules. You're not having correct behavior. You're not being responsible. You're being immature. You think by lying and sneaking around that you're mature. If you have to lie and sneak around to get to do what you want to do, what should that tell you about that behavior? It's immature. So now mature love has a totally different flavor. It's the slow simmer. It's unselfish. It's giving unconditionally. It's not giving so you get something back. It's unconditional. You're with this person because you want to be with them. You enjoy their company. It's not because there's some condition. They have to do this. They have to spend money. They have to take you out. They have to entertain you. It's unconditional. Mature love is unchanging. Instead of like this, it's more like this. You know, stability can be very sexy. Just knowing how this person thinks and acts, whether they're with you or apart from you, it's unchanging. You know that you can rely on that heart. Mature love is able to forgive you and give you another chance. Now, there's two disclaimers here. Drug abuse and breaking the law and physical violence is one and done. There is no excuse for physical abuse or doing illegal activity. You need to move on, find another person. If they want to change, maybe see a year from now, or hang out, but no more intimacy, no more, holding hands and stuff like this. You could forgive them, but you should not be in that relationship. That's why we have to be, when you bond with somebody, even if you're not having sex, your heart bonds with them. You tend to make a lot of excuses for them. They didn't really mean to do this. It was an accident. They really apologized. They even cried. No, this was inexcusable. So able to forgive, but you have to look at what the activity is. And because certain things are huge character flaws. Also, mature love is ethical. Let's say the two teenagers are at her house. She's babysitting, and they're making out, and then they start to almost lean back in the couch, do the horizontal mambo, and then all of a sudden he sits up, goes, "Whoa!" He says, "You know how I feel about you. I really care about you. Let's not take a chance. Let's not do something we both might regret. I'll tell you what, when you're done babysitting, meet me and all of our friends at the park, and we'll play ball. We'll have a good time. Let's not do something we both might regret." And I ask the females, how do you feel about if somebody does that? And right away, the girls get it. I feel really good about that. I feel they respect me and they really care about me. So, it shows a lot of maturity, because the males are under a lot of pressure to perform. The males are under a lot of pressure to be sexual. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's really the girls that are instigating. The boys aren't doing something and the girls get upset. So we need to let the guys know being a real man means to have self-control. I say have self-control over this, self-control over this, and self-control over that. Then you're starting to become a man. And I'm telling you, even my thug wannabes, they just sit up a little straighter, and they're very happy to know this. So also, love is very honest. So ask yourself, is what I want to do really in the best long-term interest of this person I say I love? And if you're not willing to ask yourself this question because you're afraid of what the answer will be, then don't say you love somebody. I had a problem one time when I was married. I was having problems, and somebody I was really deeply attracted to. And I really wanted to be sexual with them because that's how I expressed myself in my bad days. And I thought, God wants me to do this. That's how crazy I was. Like, I really love this person. And we'd never done anything. He had no idea, had no clue. I was so crazy about him. And I had to keep going over it. This program helped me so much, because I realized finally, even if I'm very good at lying and sneaking around, nobody would find out. But I realized, but what if everybody in the world would do what I want to do? What kind of world would that be? It wouldn't be such a good one. So I did use self-restraint, and I didn't do anything. And later I found out that really wasn't the right person for me. And here he was married too, which is really stupid, right? I would have destroyed 2 lives, kids, everything, because I was being very self-centered at that time in my life. So, and at the time I didn't feel real good about myself. I felt I had scars all over me. I said, oh, I just want to be with this person. But years later, yeah, I look back, I feel like that was a trophy for me, not messing around doing that. And can somebody really love you if they don't even care about your future? It's a two-way street. If they don't care about your future, they don't care about your long-term interests. This is where we find ourselves in the world today. Everywhere around us, we are surrounded by people who are only thinking in the immediate, their feelings or what they're going to get in the immediate. They're not thinking long-term, whether it's drug abuse, relationships, politics, whatever. People are thinking too narrowly. That's really the immature mind. Can somebody love you if they don't even care about their own future? This is a huge deal. Like even I've seen young girls, they like the bad boy. They're just thinking, oh, it's so exciting. He would protect me. No, he's going to beat you just like he beats everybody else. So they don't care about their own future. In the long term, they're probably not going to care about you either. So this is the big question. Well, how do we really know? Do they really love you? To be sure, take the love test. Tell this person, okay, I'll go out with you. We'll continue going out, but no sex is going to happen. I'm not having sex. And see if that relationship continues. Some people do it like a homework assignment. They write a letter to this person saying, good qualities. I like being with you, but we're not going to have sex. I think this is great for adults too. And do you know, when I ask guys, how would you feel if somebody you're interested in said that to you? They said, oh, I'd feel really good about it. They have a standard. Oh, they like me, but they're not going to have sex with me at this level, at this time. I feel like, oh, I don't have to worry about them messing around with other people either. So it's very interesting, the stereotypes we give different sexes, right? So what is the meaning of the act of love? Now, this is even a time when you could read your script if you want. So what does the act of love or sexual intercourse mean anyway? Did you know that when a woman has sexual intercourse with a man, a hormone called oxytocin is released, the same hormone that's released when a woman gives birth to a baby or nurses her baby? That oxytocin is released. We're not just naturally mothers. We're bonded with the baby. It's a process. Even the act of getting up in the middle of the night for the baby to help it, it's helping to produce that bonding sensation. So this hormone acts to give the mother a feeling of love and concern for her child. The hormones are also released in the man during intercourse. These hormones act to bond the two people together. So then if one partner leaves, how does that person feel? Don't you feel like it's a part of their heart being ripped out? And if one allows this to happen several times, don't you think it could do lasting damage to one's ability to trust and love the opposite sex, to love anybody? When you give your heart and then they leave in a callous way, or they bash you on social media, they cheat on you, whatever, it's devastating. It rips a big piece of your heart out. So he or she may decide to become somebody who uses other people in the same way they were used. I hear this all the time. I'm going to hurt them before they hurt me. I'm going to dump them before they dump me. I heard this in middle school from kids. So he or she may decide to, so she or he may decide to become somebody who uses others in the same way that they were used. But is that really making the heart bigger or smaller? More loving or smaller and harder? Do you know women who hate men who have come to despise women because of this kind of unwise giving and betrayal? And a lot of times what I do is I already usually have a heart, you fold it in half and make a heart. And this guy, he did this on a stage. He was in college, and he said, I thought that the more relationships I had, the better husband I would make, the better boyfriend I'd make. So when I was going out with this person, I gave my heart to them. And this person, I gave my heart to them. And I don't remember this person's name, but they sure were good. And then I gave this piece of my heart, this piece of my heart, another piece of my heart, another piece of my heart, ever since like 7th grade. And then by the time I really found my true love, the person I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, I only had this little piece of my heart left. Now, when somebody leaves in a callous way, it rips a big piece of your heart out. What's amazing about the heart heals, but it leaves a big scar. I've met so many people that have so many scars around their heart, they don't believe love exists, right? When you think of a scar, is there any feeling where a scar is? No, there isn't. And this is what happens when we give our hearts so freely, we trust, we put everything, and we're just teenagers. We're just middle school. What I find as adults, they continue to make the same mistakes in choices and actions, and they can't figure out why they're so unhappy. And it's really very sad, because they don't make a good partner either because of this misuse of love. So real love is committed. And if you're not really committed, should you be acting like you are? Everybody likes that cuddle hormone, like when you have your arm around each other, you're holding hands, you're making out. It's cuddle hormone. It makes you feel you got the fuzzy wuzzies, right? But we have to be careful to make it very clear from the beginning that you're not a couple, you're not committed, you enjoy being with each other. So sometimes it's like holding wild horses. Yeah, I really want to make, the kids call it tongue wrestling. I really want to make out with this person. I want to just love somebody. I want to be loved by somebody. But, I have come to the conclusion that it's better to have no relationship than a bad relationship. It is better to have no relationship than a bad relationship. This is a time when you can focus on yourself, your own growth, your development, your goals, your dreams. Who are you as a person? This is a great time. But when we're with another person in that kind of a commitment, you want me to do this? Oh, I have to check first. It's okay. So also, when you pretend like you're committed to somebody, isn't that like taking something that doesn't belong to you? You haven't made a commitment. What if you have sex and break up? And then, that person, maybe they wanted to wait till they got married. And you kind of led them to believe that's where you were headed. So it's the psychological damage is really serious. It's a very serious issue. Sometimes we can heal and move on, but it's always there. That's why we want to be really careful not to rush so quickly. So how do you know if somebody's committed? Well, marriage has existed all over the world since the beginning of time. We have couples from Nigeria, Egypt, Japan, Austria, and India. Oh, they celebrate marriage. Their wedding for 3 weeks. My daughter went to one. It's amazing. Throughout the ages. And marriage in most cultures is everlasting, no cheating. I don't have to take a DNA test to find out who the baby's daddy is, because I know, because he's sleeping next to me every night. That's why when we practice self-control and we don't just give our heart and our body to everybody that we feel like doing, we actually mature and learn self-restraint. Do you think you're more likely to cheat in marriage or less likely? Less likely. I do have 6th grade boys say, oh no, Miss Linda, if you don't have sex until marriage, you're going to cheat, because then once you've done it, you say, oh my gosh, this was great. How is other people? I've had 7th grade girls say, oh, Miss Linda, you're telling your girls to try and wait until marriage. When they turn 18, they're going to have sex with every boy in your town. Well, guess what? That didn't happen, because they learned from other people's mistakes. It's good to learn from your mistakes. You fall down from a bicycle, but the wise person in today's world learn from the mistakes of other people. I don't need to jump off a building to know that's not a good thing to do. So marriage, a mature relationship, getting to know each other, getting to know each other's families, a little history of their previous relationships. How did they feel about that? So just those kind of things. It takes a lot of maturity. That's why even now in today's age, they say it's almost better to wait till like 24, something like this. when your brain is more mature. 21 would be nice, but I don't know, people are still kind of immature then. So fences and boundaries, why are they built? Well, why are they built? To protect something important and valuable, like your home, the horses, these are thoroughbred, $100,000 horses, the kids. What if you had a daycare center and there was no fences? Go out and play, everybody. Be a big problem. A mailbox, it's, to protect something private, important, and valuable. Isn't your heart one of those things? So healthy relationships have boundaries. Again, just like good health. With good health, I have certain boundaries. I'm not getting drunk. I never do illegal drugs. I don't even like taking pharmaceuticals. I get sleep. I do. Look, I'm almost 75. How many wrinkles do I have? Almost none. No plastic surgery. I look pretty good. And a lot of it's because I don't have those bad habits. So same with healthy relationships. They have boundaries. When we have boundaries, there's clarity in the relationship. We can do this, but we don't do that. And within the boundaries, you have total freedom. Total freedom. So we also want to talk about time and attention. So so everything that's everything that's valuable and everything that's healthy has boundaries, but we don't want to be totally separate either. We want to find somebody we can know and trust. And there's two extremes. The person who has a wall so high and strong that nobody can get in, it's hard to have a decent conversation. They're always closing you off. And then there's also the person who has no boundaries, lets anybody in, takes whatever they want. So what are some steps in sharing yourself with somebody else? Well, time and attention. We live in such a sexualized culture, especially with pornography. Honestly, that's a big problem with people thinking about sex too much and over too much activity with it. It's a compulsive behavior, and they're not even that satisfied just because they do it a lot. So spending time and attention. When I liked a boy, I washed his car. And you'd be so shocked. I could clean his carburetor. You'd be so shocked, But so paying attention to somebody, spend time with their family. See if you like their family. Play games together. Hanging out, communicating, doing emails, instant message, talking on the cell phone. Try writing a letter. Writing a letter can be so amazing. And then there's also giving gifts or small acts of kindness. Expensive gifts are not a good thing, I think, until after you're married or if you're engaged, because there can be a lot of misunderstandings and expectation. And then sometimes people say, well, they gave me so many gifts, they gave me so much money, It's better just acts of kindness, doing nice things that they really appreciate. And things that you like to do together, maybe even develop new activities that the two of you do together. So it's interesting. And touch, holding hands, a simple kiss on the cheek. And then touch leading to sexual arousal and sexual intercourse. So some people may want to skip the earlier stages and go to the advanced sexual intimacy right away, like the first time they're together. It may not even be officially a date. They're just together, and I've talked to teenagers, because there's an activity we do about stages of sexual arousal, and the last one being sexual intercourse. And regardless of what school or what city, like used to be back in the day, if somebody wanted to have sex with a female, they would kissing, then the neck, breasts, and then touching the genitals. Well, they said now people go straight for the genitals. And they said even a kiss on the lips is more intimate than touching downstairs here. Isn't that interesting? And what happens to that? It's very interesting. So research shows that those who go quickly to advanced sexual intimacy have weaker bonding with the other person. They have, like that high school senior, he's thinking about the person day and night. While he's thinking, that's emitting hormones in his brain that make him want to be with this person. But then once they satisfy that urge, there was no bonding. There was no real bonding with them. There was no commitment at all. So many people think it's okay to have sex, as long as you're in love. And a lot of teenagers think this. 15, 20 years ago, they would tell me this. Seventh graders, eighth graders. Do you agree? What's the problem with this way of thinking? And so you're getting answers from people when people go quickly to that advanced intimacy. Nobody knows. I've done adult classes, I've done kids, I've done high school. Feelings of love can change, and you realize too late that you gave something valuable to somebody who really wasn't committed. That's why you had sex, because this person was really into you and they really seemed to like you, and you're thinking already, we're going to live in a nice house, and you're naming all your children, and you're just sharing your first kiss. You have sexual intercourse, but because you skipped all those simmering steps of bonding, which has to do with brain chemicals, you never really got to know this person. Then they trash you on social media because they want to get rid of you. They actually feel guilty what they did, so they want to make you hate them. And for a lot of people, it's just a game. Oh yeah, I smashed it with. In the hood, they don't even say I made love to this person. They say hitting it, busting it, kicking it, smashing it, tapping it, knocking my boots, breaking my back, ABBO, and getting cheeks. Now that sounds more like gang warfare on my body than it does making love. That kind of went out with Luther Vandross. But anyway, so what's the most valuable thing you can share with somebody? Some people would say it's your heart, and that's true. But the most important thing you can share with somebody is actually your DNA. That's your legacy. So because giving the gift of your DNA, you're allowing somebody to combine your DNA with theirs and to potentially create a new human being. There is nothing deeper or more valuable than you could possibly give anybody than this. That's why many people believe that should only take place in the context of marriage, because this is a serious relationship. This is a serious commitment. That's why the marriage ceremony, psychologists say, it's really not for the bride. It's really for the male, because when he sees all the relatives are there, all their friends are there, all of a sudden it becomes real. That's why even some men faint before they can say I do, because it's very real. Before, it's just kind of a game and feelings and stuff like this. So it's very, very important thing to have all of those discussions within the context of marriage. How many kids don't know who their father is? The mother shared her DNA. The father shared his DNA. She doesn't know. She says, well, at least I have a piece of him by having this child. You're not even taking care of that child. Not in the real sense. You're always working, or you're continuing your education. I have little girls tell me, yeah, but Miss Linda, they have daycare in high school. They're taking care of babies. It's free. Oh, my mother will get up in the middle of the night. Does your mother know about your plan? No, she'll kill me. I says, well, it's a clue. I talked to hundreds of single mothers who were single mothers at the birth of their child. I have never met one that said to me, Miss Linda, I hope my little 13-year-old gets pregnant like I did at 13 and 14 and has a baby. Never. They say, I'll whoop her. Yeah, it's really something. Did I tell you about the mother's conversation with her daughter in Mississippi? This was from the Department of Health and Human Services. They shared this, and they said very quickly, this young girl, Mississippi, 13 years old, found out she's pregnant. Her mother was a single mother her whole life, did not get to finish high school, became a really great mother, but she was working all the time to support her child. And then now the little girl says, oh my gosh, I got to tell my mother I'm pregnant. She's going to kill me. So she's sitting at the kitchen table, her knees are knocking. And then she tells her mother that she's pregnant. She's going to have a baby in 6 months. Her mother just looks at the red and white checkered kitchen tablecloth, couldn't even look at her child. Then all of a sudden, rivers of tears are falling from the mother's eyes. Rivers of tears onto the tablecloth. And the little girl goes, oh man, I'm making my mother cry. This is awful. She doesn't deserve this. maybe if she whoops me, she's going to feel better. And then she said to her mother, Mama, aren't you going to whoop me? When her mother could gain her composure to where she could even say a few words, she looked her daughter straight in the eyes and said, Baby, I don't have to whoop you. Life is going to whoop you. I'll never forget that story. I'll never forget that story. So what is a marital promise? To love and to cherish till death do us part. My parents, when I asked them, I says, you guys stayed together, and then they said that line, they had to actually discuss the wedding vows for a few weeks before the pastor would agree to marry them. And this is the one they had to really stick with. Will we love and cherish each other, even if you're in a wheelchair, even if you're comatose, until death do us part? And once they could agree with that, they go, okay, we could get married. It's a promise of permanence. No matter what's going on in the world, I'm with you and you're with me. Sexual and financial union. With my body, I worship you. All that I am, I give to you, and all that I have, I share with you. Exclusive fidelity. That means when they say forsake all others, they mean not only forsake all your exes, but anybody who does not support your marriage is no longer invited into your home. And I totally agree with that. In fact, I told my daughters, be careful who you married because I'm going to be on your husband's side. So forsake all others. If they're not friendly to the marriage and supporting them, if your family's not, just hit pause. Don't do things. If your family is opposing, you got to really have a conference. To love and take care of our children together as a couple, not forcing the man and he's got to pay, child care and all of this stuff. It's a public promise, not just when we're naked under the sheets with each other, but in front of everybody, the congregation, in front of your parents, your friends, all your schoolmates. It's a public promise. Used to be our word was our bond. Now, I'm sorry, it's not. People do pinky swear. Little kids say, but Miss Linda, we did pinky swear and they still lied to me. It's a public promise. Used to be, if you shook hands, especially men, you shook hands on something, you didn't write a contract, but we shook on it. It was a done deal, public promise. So MTV did this amazing telephone survey, and they were shocked by the answers they had. This was in the 90s, I think, 2007, actually. Strong pro-marriage beliefs among youth. Young people may not hear the word marriage. They may not hear discussions about it, but a healthy society has healthy married people. 91% of youth and young adults ages 13 to 24 agreed getting married would make me happy. Now, I don't think that we should think this will make me happy. I've got to invest some things, but just that it's a happy thing rather than a prison sentence or something. So this was interviewing 1,280 youth. They didn't do this. 1,280 youth, and then 618 13 to 17-year-olds. I see. And then 618 13 to 7-year-olds, and 662 18 to 24-year-olds. So that's really, really impressive. And if you read the whole research thing that they did, you'll be even more impressed. So saving sex and marital success, I tell you, if these things were not true and I didn't see tons of examples in real life, I would get another job. I would really, because I was not this kind of person when I started doing this. And I've done all the background research on it, and I continue to do, see if something changes, and it's amazing. Couples who are not sexually active before marriage have happier marriages. This is from 2018. Does sexual history affect marital happiness? Just think, again, if you've had your heart broken many times because you're having sex with many people, it's like even, I don't want to beat a dead dog, but I was kind of really rambunctious teenager, right? I didn't believe in waiting until marriage. My mother would always say so I could wear a white dress. I go, bump the white dress. I don't even wear dresses. It was the 60s. And then one day I was standing near the front door because I didn't know how my daddy would react. And I said, Daddy, I don't remember if I told you this story, but both my parents were virgins when they got married. They were 21 years old. I said, Daddy, both you and Mom were virgins when you got married, but you had no porn, you had no Playboy. Like, weren't you worried you wouldn't know what to do? Well, my dad, I stood near the door in case he came after me. He laughed and he chuckled and he said, Baby, no, we didn't have any porn, but your mom and I discussed this, and we agreed that if we didn't get it right the first time we made love, we would just do it till we got it right. I go, really? And then he says, yes. So first time we made love on our honeymoon, we didn't get it right. I said, so what'd you do? He says, we did it again and again and again till we got it right. And when we got it right, you know what we did? I said, no, Daddy, what'd you do? He said, we did it again. So my dad died of a massive coronary heart attack when he was 52, only because he had bad health. My mom never married, never dated, never did anything. When my mother, now she's 96, when she was 82, said, Mom, you never remarried. I mean, you're really pretty, and I love my daddy, but, don't you get lonely? She said, no, honey, when you have the best, you don't need the rest. And I'm telling you, the kids love that story, and it's so nice. They have happier marriages, lower risk of divorce, because you've learned how to work out relationships. You became a person of good character instead of just trying to, influence people. And this is incredible. I'm the one that found this. I was in the Soviet Union teaching about HIV and AIDS with this program, and I went to the embassy because I used to do a lot of research there to find backup. Found the Time magazine because it was not starved for anything in English, right? This was in Belarus, and it said Sex in America, surprising news from the most important survey since the Kinsey report. Well, anybody who studied the Kinsey report knows that this was a lot of false information that just tried to sexualize people. It wasn't about good sex even. So who is having the best sex? Swinging singles, that single people have, sex partners with whoever. Living together, it's like taking a car for a drive around the block. You want to test it out. Married with affairs, that means you're married, you're like Tiger Woods, but you got, a side chick on the side. Or married and faithful. So let's take a sex survey here. Show me your hands. How many of you think swinging singles have the best sex? Believe it or not, it is rare that I even get one or two hands up, even in my high school or college classes. Very rare. And then I always ask if there is somebody, I says, why do you think swinging singles? And it's always a very stupid answer. Living together. And then a few hands will come up, so you can work it out, see if it's working out. But what happens when people live together, sometimes when they realize this is not a real good relationship, but we bought a couch together, we did this together, oh, we might as well get married. And then, it doesn't work out and they get a divorce. So people who live together have a higher likelihood of divorce. And then married with affairs, the entree is a little better with something on the side. That was a hip hop song. And usually not so many hands go up. One or two, rarely. And when I say married and faithful, that means you only have one sex partner for your whole life. This is the one where all the hands go up. The smallest amount of hands I ever had went up because they didn't vote for anything. They don't think anybody has best sex. Usually about 85 to 90% of the hands always at least go up, which is amazing to me because I'm not prompting them. Current culture tells all the ones above is the more fun one and the better one. So the kids really put this together. I'm telling you, even sixth graders, they'll say married and faithful. And they may not know a married person where I teach. This might be the first time they're ever hearing about marriage. They know about being faithful, not cheating though. So love can last. I like nice pictures of senior citizens. Okay, so this is, sorry. So, yeah. So love can last. I know so many seniors, they're more in love now than they were when they first got married because they've been through a lot of trials. They always supported each other. They have great character. They love each other. They really help each other. They're not just working just for themselves in a self-centered way. So becoming parents, it's really an awesome experience. It's one of the most awesome experiences. Like even my son-in-laws, they work all day, and when they come home, they take the baby from my daughter's arms and play with them. They diaper them, they feed them, and they just can't wait to get home to their kids. But becoming a parent is an awesome responsibility too. Like you have to work to feed the child, you have to take care of them, you have to always be careful with them. The school calls, they're sick, you have to rush home. The boss may not like that. So that's why you really need teamwork. I cannot imagine. I mean, single mothers are the hardest working people in America, but especially teenagers. Why do you want to do this? And I had this one girl, she, like I told you, she has her two kids in a stroller, and the guys come up to her because she's really cute. Oh, are these your brother and sister? No, it's my son and daughter. Oh, see you later. Most men do not want to marry ready-made family when they're young. When they're older, it's not as big of a deal. So in our Love Smarts book, activity number 5, we have we have maybe I don't know how to get these to people. I have digital copies. I really should send this to you guys because I was thinking originally to mail each one of you. I could mail you if you want to email me your address. I'll mail you a book. Otherwise, I'll give you a digital copy. Just email me. So this is our Love Smart student workbook. I've been using this since we started giving the program. It's so amazing. And so activity 5, it's called What Advice Would You Give? And it's nice because there's lines where the kids can, write their story. And I always have a student read. Many students express a desire to have a family someday. Imagine you do have a child. What advice would you give that child when they become a teenager? Write a letter to your future child to be open when he or she reaches the teen years. Give advice regarding the area of love, relationships, and sexuality. What are dangers to avoid? What kinds of activities and relationships would you advise your child to seek out? The kids love this. Either they can do it as a take home, or if you have time in the classroom, they write it, and you keep giving them prompts. And if somebody's written half a page, even though they're not done, I say, can you just share this with us? Read what you have so far. No, I don't want to. Well, can I read it for you? Okay, you can read it. So I do. But I say use the sandwich approach. Start off with something really nice. Oh, I'm so happy you're my child, and we're da 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 da, really great things. Then in the middle, say, these are some rules I really need you to follow. If you want to break these rules, please come and speak to me before. And talk about drugs, school, relationships, things like this. And then finish it with something more happy again. And always put love mom, love dad, and stuff like this. And it's really amazing the letters you get. I've had many schools where the teachers actually had the students rewrite it neatly on a piece of paper, and then they did bulletin boards in the hallway with write a letter to your future child. And it's really, and then you always have the kids say, well, I'm not going to have any kids. Well, you're going to have a niece or a nephew. Do you have a brother or sister? You're going to have a niece or a nephew. So write to your niece, write to your nephew, something like that. So fatherless children, I mean, this is really sad. There's so much research about how important the father is to the family because they really can put down the rules a lot and, follow up with the mother. The mother tends to give a lot of love, and the father's very important, especially for boys. There's a lot of boys, I know men myself, who always had a single mother, but it really takes a man to teach a boy how to grow up to be a man, because guys tend to learn by they watch the role model, so it's oh so that is a song, this one here. by Beanie Siegel, and it it really shows his anger about being abandoned. So yeah, so that's, let's see, can I get that to play? Let me see if I go back one. Okay, let me see if I can play it. Yeah. Are you able to hear the music? You couldn't hear the music. Yeah. Anyway, it's a rap tune. And Beanie Siegel, he's gone to prison, done a lot of things. He's very popular, very famous, even though he's an older rapper now. But he talks to his father, who was never involved in his life. And he did this rap tune that the kids will just stop in their tracks and listen. So I don't know about your school, but in my school, because it's mostly Black kids, very meaningful for them. So also with support enforcement, you can say, well, you don't want to have anything to do with the mother or the child. They can take away half your wages with no discussion with you. They can take away your driver's license. They can you can only drive to and from work. Cost you your student loan. They can take your student loan. I don't know how they do this, but they do. They can send you to jail. And then the day that you're released, you better start finding a way to make payments, because all those back payments you still owe. There's no way that you can get out of it. And if you no longer have a good relationship with the mother, say you do love your child, you want to see your child, that the mother can make it very difficult to see your own son and daughter. And this can be reversed, of course. If the man wants to take care of the child and the woman doesn't, he can do the same thing to her. It doesn't matter. But you may not be able to see your own son or daughter. So it's 8:06. Should I do like 3 more slides or something, because we started a little late? Okay. So how many of you look forward to living your life in poverty? Poverty, what's that? That means, I'm hungry, Daddy. Shut up, son, so am I. That's poverty. We think because I don't have Nikes, we're living in poverty. No, it means no food, no nothing. So to avoid poverty, and I took sociology, they said the same thing. Graduate from high school. Yeah, it's not enough. You really need some college, but at least graduate from high school. Is that so hard? Get a full-time job as soon as possible. Even in high school, people look at your resume, your working history. I've seen all these young adults, they get their graduate degree, but they can't get a job because they never had experience. Even if you do volunteer work, because I was a former business owner, I talked to other business owners. They get so many job applications. If they see somebody that was doing volunteer work, they go at the top of the pile. They go to the top of the pile because it takes a certain character. McDonald's. People say, oh, you get great training at McDonald's. That's really great. That's nothing to be ashamed of. So get a full-time job, wait till you're 21 and married before having children. When I took sociology, they had a bar graph and talked about reasons for poverty. 2 stuck way out here: dropping out of high school, being a single female head of household. Those were the 2 leading. So even poverty in this country, in other countries, it's not true. In this country, most poverty is related to behavior. You have a bad attitude. So wait till you're 21 and married before having children. So this was based on more, this is from the Brookings Institute, 2013. So some of our friends have already had sex. Given the way our culture is, it's understandable. But do you know that 6 out of 10 sexually active teens regret it and wish they had waited? I talk to college students. I talk to high school students. They say the same thing to me. They regret it. They just thought they were having fun. They thought this was a meaningful relationship. They believed what the other person said. 85% of teenagers believe sex should only occur in a long-term relationship. The problem is, as teenager, because the way the teenage brain is, we think we are in a long-term relationship. I've only known this person a minute, but in my head, this is going to be forever. No, it means you're already in a long-term. You've known this person. Do you know how long it takes to really get to know somebody? It takes 3 years. You haven't even been together for 3 weeks, 3 minutes, you know? So you're beginning to get to know somebody after a year. That's why it's not good to become a couple right away, invest everything in one person. Get to know them from a distance. Many teenagers have chosen to stop and wait. Okay, been there, done that. I'm going to stop. I want to wait till I get married, graduate from college, something like that. Do you think that's a healthy choice or unhealthy choice? Yeah, it's a healthy choice. I was 25 and I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I says, okay, no more foolishness, no more running around, no more sex for 1 year. Thought I was going to die, but I didn't. I started having the best relationships I ever had, and I wouldn't even kiss anybody because I'd want to kick it to the next level. And then because I really got cleaned up and started having really great relationships, I was more serious about my work, my goals. I ended up waiting until I got married. So it's very interesting. I never look back. Never look back. So now I'm going to do a quiz with you. Most teenagers in America are virgins. How many say false? Most teenagers in America are virgins. How many say false? That most of the hands go up. How many think that is true? Almost no hands go up. Do you know that 6 out of 10 teenagers have never had sex? You go, how do you know, Miss Linda? Well, in the 80s, like it was 50-50 basically. And then it was like 49% had and 50% had not. So they're doing surveys, however they do it. And when it started to flip was 2013. In 2013, it was like five out of 10. You see, yeah, 5, 6, yeah. It just started to flip then. It started to flip. So, yeah, they look kind of cool and kind of happy to me. So it's, you know, what about you? You know, what about, are you going to do things? If people are pressuring you to have sex, like it's really cool, it's fun, I love you, are they thinking about your future? Are they going to help take care of your baby? Are they going to help you with anything? I had this one girl in my daughter's school. She got pregnant at 16. She's always going around, feel my baby bump, feel my baby. She was so proud and so happy about being pregnant in high school. So then she had her baby and she was a senior. And then she needed to work. Her mother was a single mother. And she says, oh, Mom, here's my work schedule. I'll need you for babysitting so I can work. And she says, I'm not babysitting your baby. You're my baby. That's your baby. You take care of your baby. I take care of you. That's how the deal works. The kid was shocked. The kid was shocked. So we talk about different types of relationships. Again, we go to the Love Smarts book, and it talks about, we talk about different types of relationships. To clarify these issues for yourself, do they have no? Yes. So to clarify these issues for yourself, in the left column, write 5 things you first notice about somebody you're attracted to. In the middle column, write down things you look for in a boyfriend or girlfriend you strongly care about. In the right column, write 5 things that you would look for that you want to marry, and they'd be the mother or father of your children. So when you're first attracted, oftentimes it's physical. I let the kids write, they'll say nice butt, whatever. I know some people don't agree with that. I let them freestyle. Whatever they're first attracted, what is it? Then infatuation, they have strong emotional feelings. Well, sometimes the first column is the same as the second column. It's still physical. You know, I let them write whatever they want. But then when they write somebody that you're going to make a lifelong committed to and you're going to raise children together, they say they need a job, education is good to be around. You know, they really get serious. So I say, in which relationship is there more likely to be security and trust? Well, we say husband and wife. In which relationship is having sex the right decision? When you think about the consequences and working together and stuff, well, husband and wife. If a pregnancy occurs, in which relationship is there more stable basis for dealing with that? They could be really beautiful or handsome. There's a pregnancy. Does that mean they're going to stay with you? So it's just, getting that discussion going. So basically we say gay or straight, you should wait. Who are you as a person? What do you bring to a relationship? So it's very important that at this time in our life, this is a great time when you can actually focus on yourself, your goals and your dreams and those kind of things. I think I can quickly finish this. So this is you can always read the script, but actress Megan Good and this movie producer, they decided to wait until marriage. I think that they're secondary virgins, I'm pretty sure. But suddenly she came up with this thing. I want to make our honeymoon special. I really want to wait. And apparently they interviewed them recently and they really are making things work. And they're just like so proud of themselves that they decided to do that. And finally, Tim Tebow, because everybody made fun of him for being a virgin, but he found his one true love, and they waited until marriage, and he invested so much of himself. I'm sure that it's going to work out nice. Sierra, I love her. Her music videos, everything is so empowering. She discusses abstaining from sex before marrying Russell Wilson. And in 2016, singing star Sierra married NFL quarterback Russell Wilson in a lavish ceremony at this Peckford Castle in Cheshire, England, 4 months after getting engaged. This week-long celebration could have been ripped right out of a storybook, but what led up to the big day wasn't as easy as it might look. So they made a personal choice to abstain from sex until they said, I do. Sierra had been with a lot of the top performers, singers, rappers before, and I think she just didn't want to play that game anymore. And maybe she wanted to see, is this a real relationship or not? So she said, if you want to get somewhere in life, you've got to have a compass. You've got to know where you really want to get to. And my heart, soul, spirit, and mind just desired to be loved, to truly be loved in the right way, she adds. So it was very, I wish her all the happiness in the world because she's really great person. So normally I would have a student read the quote. So also we need to know, I have a right to refuse. I have a right to wait. I can say no, that what I don't want, and I can leave if this person doesn't respect my wishes. So let's repeat this all together. And then I'll say, I have the right to wait. And the audience goes, I have the right to wait. Okay, say it a little louder. I have the right to wait. I can say what I don't want. I can say what I don't want. And then I'll say again, I can leave if this person doesn't respect my wishes. And then the kids all say it aloud. And when you have the whole group saying this out loud, it's amazing. The 4 I cans. Oftentimes I'll do a copy and paste and do this as a handout. I'll copy it onto paper. So the 4 I cans, I can stick with my choice to wait. I can stay away from situations that might lead to sex. I can say no if we were kissing and sexual things started to happen. I can stop seeing that person if I was pressured to have sex. So I have them read this. I'll always read it ahead of them. And then I'll say, do you agree with this? Delayed dating is a good choice. The study after study shows there's less feelings of depression, sad, or hopelessness because you're learning to be a good friend. You're learning who you are as an individual. You're focusing more on your goals and dreams, what's going to get you someplace. So do you set boundaries? This is like you meet somebody, like being together, you're holding hands, simple kiss, long kiss, deep kiss, petting, sexual intercourse. Now for the male brain, he's aroused with the long kiss and deep kiss. Honestly speaking, I find with the hand holding, he's totally aroused. With a girl, she's good, but she's like a car. She could stop on a dime. She's aroused with petting, but it's easier for her to stop. But with the male, it is a lot more difficult. And that's why we discuss male and female brain, because it's not fair to the guy to make him think that, oh, this is going to happen. She might just be feeling very romantic. So and then sexual intercourse. So dating older guys are more mature, more experienced, more independence, more resources, but they also have higher rates of STDs among teen girls than teen boys, indicating teen girls were infected by older male partners. You just do the math. This is from the Center for Disease Control. Teen girls dating older guys are more likely to get pregnant as well because They're trusting them. So we have a dating boundaries activities. What boundaries do you make? What are dating situations where it might be difficult? You know, being alone in a movie theater, being alone anywhere. What are dating situations where you could actually get to know somebody, but limit the likelihood of sex? Go to sports games, hang out with parents, you know, something like this. So this is the tabloids, you know, they do all of this stupid stuff. The reality, do those tabloids and social media show mature love, five-dimensional love? Do they show consequences? No, they only care about money. You think they care about you? It's just like drug dealers. Do they care that you're addicted to fentanyl? Rebellion is just another brand, where rebellion is just another product to be marketed and sold right back to you. This was Frontline documentary called Merchants of Cool. Try to see it if you can. It's an amazing video. Ask yourself, what is this artist saying about these important issues about love and sex? Is it intelligent? If not, throw it out, at least in your mind. What do you want to give your future child? Surely not HIV or something like that. You know what I think the greatest gift anybody could give their child is a mother and father, two parents who love each other and love that child as well. So that future child's life is in your hands. The child on the left, that's Dr. Panzer's son. That future child's life is in your hands right now by the habits and attitudes you develop now as a teen. You are developing the world that that child will live in. So these are teenage, our club leaders. I know them so well. I could give you many stories. I don't want to keep you here all night. Okay, 6:20. Pledgers delay, they delay 27 months or longer. So students who do a pledge, we're going to have a pledge card at the end of this. Those who make the pledge delay sex by 27 months or longer. So less likely to get pregnant, more likely to finish college. Abstainers are more likely to graduate from high school, college, and they make more money over their lifetime. And then we have this really nice video. This is Brittany Marsh, 8-year member. She told me, Miss Linda, I used to be a hood rat. My goal in life was to have sex by the age of 14. After I met you guys, you kicked me out of the club a few times. And she decided to wait until marriage. So she hadn't got married yet. She's still waiting. She went to college, got her master's, forensic science, and she gives us wonderful testimony. So this is our Love Smarts Declaration of Freedom. It's usually on the back of the Love Smarts pledge card. I usually have a student, I give them the card. Do you feel comfortable reading this? If you don't want to put your name, that's okay. Read it out in class. And they go, oh yeah, okay. So then they read it and kids get so inspired. I have kids saying, can I have some of those cards for my friends? Blows me away every time. And I tell them, you can leave the card on your desk if you don't want to, or you can, you know, give it to me. What you can't do is throw it away or throw it in the trash or leave it on the ground. And I am shocked how those cards all disappeared. I'm just being honest with you. We have media campaigns. We talk about media, how to create new slogans. You know, sex sells, like they took the word rebel. Realize the risk, escape peer pressure, be smart, elevate your standards, liberate yourself. It's amazing. The kids came up with these. So we have the media campaign, making t-shirts. So give a gift for your future self. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. A big thank you. So give yourselves a great big hand. Yay, finished. I hope you all made it. So I rushed through the end because you do have the script, and I wanted to be able to complete this because otherwise we just had a few slides hanging there. Do you have any questions? We can keep the recording going.
I have a question. So when you talk about having a child and the burden on the new mother, especially a single mother, you know, that may scare a lot of kids into, if they do get pregnant, they'll have an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't touch upon abortion issues at all, or?
Nope.
Okay.
We do have the Circle of Life video, which they see that's really a real baby and it has a real heartbeat at 30
Oh, good.
days.
Okay.
So that's a real powerful conception to birth. It's on TED, and we made it into a 5-minute video. And then it shows the baby actually coming out of the mother, but there's, the cloths there, so you don't really see the vaginal area. And it's very descriptive. In fact, I think it's probably on one of our websites if you go there. But yeah, thanks for reminding me that. We don't get it. I even tell the kids, I'm not pro-life or pro-choice. I'm pro-healthy choices. And if you really love your baby, you want the best for them, which may not be at this time. So because some have had abortions, and I had a school where they said they had 4 7th graders. They all had babies. The parents made them all get abortions. And when I arrived, they said that 2 of the girls were trying to get pregnant again, now in the 8th grade, 13
Oh
years.
my gosh.
Yeah. So, and I had another school, my second year I went there, they said, Miss Linda, this is the first year we had no pregnancies in our school. They said, we always get 7th grade pregnancies, which is 12 years old, right?
Oh my
And
goodness.
it is older guys. Older guys is a huge problem. I always spend a lot more time with the older guys issue because they don't have fathers in their house. So they feel so drawn to that masculinity, and they're going to be protected, and even if they feel uncomfortable with sex, but they're trusting, this older person who just says, I love you. I'm always going to be there for you. I don't need a condom. I'll pull it out. It's safe. I don't have anything. Why wouldn't they trust that? They don't know. And if they don't trust it, it's like saying, I don't really love you because I don't trust you. They don't have the stability to do that. A lot of girls look forward to getting pregnant. They don't care. I'm thinking I was terrified at 30 to give birth, but I don't know. You kind of live as you kind of learn as you go along, and it depends on your population. I came to know my population very well, because especially they asked a lot of questions, and I was never afraid, which rarely happened because I over prepare. I would say, I'm not real sure about the current information on that, or let me think about that and answer you next week when I come back. And I'm always sure to answer them. And if ever a student tells me something privately or writes down something privately, I always either give it to the teacher or the guidance counselors. It depends, because I don't want, some teachers are kind of blabbermouths. And so if I feel safer with the guidance counselor, because if you go into another school, you're automatically a reporter. You can't counsel them on your own. You're going to have problems, so I always do that.
So how many churches have you done this program in?
Me personally, probably only about 25.
And who do you go to there if there are questions? Who?
Youth minister.
Okay.
Whoever's in charge of the class that I'm giving it to. Unless I had a personal relationship with the pastor, then I would do it. But normally I would do it to the person who's in charge of the class.
And how much discretion do we have as far as material that's used in this program? Do we stick strictly with the script?
That we have to talk to Dr. Panzer. When you're using our program, you have to use the script. Yeah. And you can't be, with the abortion issue, you would talk to him. We never touch it because we want to be able to come back. You could always ask him. If you're in a church setting, maybe that's a little different if you want to support what they're talking about, but do it from a science point of view, not a religious point. I always do that. I would never do, because plus I'm not such a religious person, but I would always do things from a science point of view. And you can always say, who is the original scientist? But that's what I do, because we had such a problem getting funding, getting school. You can't teach religion in schools. We're not teaching religion. They consider it abstinence, but if you go to the Center for Disease Control, number one way to avoid HIV and AIDS is abstain from sex. That's CDC.
But if you're doing the program without government funding.
Yeah, it's just that you're using our program, so then you'd have to talk to Dr. Panzer
I
because
see.
people would say, "Oh, we had this program. Oh, I heard this program.
I see.
They're
Yeah.
really this way."
Okay.
And sometimes people would even give the program, and then when they want to get into that issue, they leave the room. So that's the only. Richard knows more about the legalities of that. I totally understand what you're saying, and you know, very rarely I get asked in a public school, what do I think about abortion? And I just feel that I'm into prevention because I don't think all the different things, keeping the baby, aborting the baby, adoption is the best option. I do say that adoption's the best option, and I don't have any problem saying that. And but really, I'm not pro-life or pro-choice. I'm pro-healthy choices. And at this time, it's not healthy for your body to be pregnant or having sexual intercourse at this time. It's not healthy for your heart to be engaged in those activities because things happen. And so we talk just straight up like that, because what happens, we have church kids, when they're in church, they're great. And then they step outside and what happens? So like I said, this program has helped me with my personal choices incredibly. So even, some people feel very religious when I'm done. That's what they tell me. I was not feeling religious when I got here. I'm feeling very religious now, because they're realizing maybe because the way they are, they need some greater source than themselves to support their decisions. So yeah. So that's where I'm at. I'm not and I think that's a safer way to be too, because then the church is already teaching what they want to teach. We're just giving them the science that totally supports and backs up what they're saying. Like you can say, well, I don't believe in God anymore. Okay, guess what? These are still the same outcomes. You can lie and sneak around, but you're still going to get caught. If I shoplift, nobody saw me this time, I'm going to get caught next time. So it's does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I because the program was designed under government funding, and then you had a grant, and it's still being taught that way. That I understand.
And not even just that, we just chose to take the science perspective because we have a broader field that way. We want to take the research and science, which that's what we do. So I could always speak to you one-on-one if you'd like to. I have some ideas, but it's so rewarding to do it this way. You're much more free with what you can say and everything else, and it's research. I go in places that are very hostile. They're 100% into teaching condoms and condoms only. Everything is condoms are the relationship. You're going to have sex anyway. Be sure you strap up and wear a condom. Will a condom protect your heart? No. Will it protect you against diseases? No. It'll reduce your risk if you wear it correctly and every single time. How natural is that? Having a piece of latex between you and somebody you love? That's very unnatural. That's
In
why.
Milwaukee, they used to advertise condoms on the back of buses.
Oh, they did in New Jersey too. You'd think it was the Messiah. Yeah. They would throw condoms at kids. They would have big bowls at all the events they have. Just take free condoms. But they're giving you the packet. There's no instructions. On the instructions, it says, the moment the penis is erect and outside the clothes, you only unzip the jeans. The penis is standing to attention. You have to put the condom on right then. Can you tell me any male who's ever done that? No male on earth has probably ever done that. They fool around, do this, touch this, do that. And just before they get down to business, then they put on the condom. I had a little 13, not even 13, sixth grade, little cornrows, teeny bitty boy. He said, Miss Linda, my uncle came to me. It's my birthday, and I think he's 10 years old. He gave me a handful of condoms. He says it was time for me to be a man. I don't know what so he thinks giving him a handful, go ahead and have sex. Practice on other men's daughters. Do you want other little boys practicing on your little girl? No. So you see how we're offering a wider perspective of common sense. We have to call it uncommon sense now. So boys are looking for an excuse not to have sex. You can take it to the bank. They're looking for an excuse not to have sex. Now, we do have a problem with porn because they're masturbating so much and looking at porn. It's training the brain to want to do those things. And guess what? They're not gratified. They get more gratification by looking at porn and having masturbation than being with a physical partner. Do you want to be like that, or do you want to have a great time? The choice is yours. That's why this is not a time while the brain is developing to do these things. So it's just speaking common sense to them. And, and then you get to the original source of all that. But, yeah. Because this is very impactful, and that's what we want to do, is have an impact. They're hearing this in the church with the abortions and things like this. But when you're giving in the science, they're realizing, I can't hide. I can always hide from my pastor. I can hide from my parents, but I can't hide from these consequences. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very, very different. And that's why I tell them the very beginning, my goal is, by the time I'm done with you, you can't tell me, your mom, or your teacher that you didn't know, because now you know more than 98% of the adults on this planet about the consequences. So I'm not telling what they can and can't do. I'm just talking about consequences. This is going to happen. Because adults are a mess. In college, they're a mess. They're having sex just to relieve themselves. It's like going to the bathroom. It's really sad. It's really, really sad. And then how many babies are paying a price? And then the abortions. I mean, if they really knew what an abortion was, but then we don't want to use scare tactics either. So, I mean, we used to have pictures of all the ugly STD slides and HIV slides. We don't do that anymore. And actually, the part 3 that I just gave has a bigger impact than the STD one. Because I always love the STD one, because I want people to know, just think, if you're just lightly fooling around, but you get human papillomavirus in your mouth or your genitals, who's going to marry you? Condoms won't protect you. It's skin-to-skin contact. When you're married, you want to have free sex, free love, do all these things, right? You don't want to put a full body condom on. So it's just natural consequences, and it's really good. And that's why I had one church where the pastor kind of said, oh, Miss Linda, this was really good, but you're just not religious enough. And I said to him, Pastor, I just gave you 2 years of sermon material. And his congregation loved it, because there was the parents and the kids I knew from school, right? And then the parents, when I left, they were grabbing my hand, shaking my hand. They didn't agree with him. I'm thinking, what do you mean saying this stupid stuff? That's your job. And a lot of the pastors are fooling around. That's a big problem where I work. Pastors are fooling around. So anyway, yeah, that's why it doesn't matter who you are, what age, what race, what orientation you are, anything. We're all in this together. We really need to think about our long-term relationships. So the abortion thing kind of settles itself. And I do tell them adoption is the best option. Because as a single mother, it's really hard. That's why, really think about not the moment. Don't think about the moment. And, there's also rape, but I don't think most abortions are because of rape. I don't think most pregnancies are. Yeah. So it's, yep. We need to be able to grow up and have healthy relationships. Happy relationships. you know. So, yeah. Anything else? Guys really stuck in there. It's 8:38. So shall we call it a night, Bergie?
That sounds about right.
Should I do a stop share?
I can do that.
Okay. Anyway, it was very nice. Thank you for letting